Raymond Heimstra, and then we'll come back to Casey. John Dow.
Hello, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm John Dow with Save Our Beaches San Clemente. I'm speaking today regarding OCTA's Rail Protection Plan presented at their board meeting earlier this week. I provided copies of the plan and an illuminating OC Register article about it. OCTA's plan calls for an all-out riprap assault that would devastate San Clemente's beaches. What's glaringly missing from this plan is sand and common sense. For over a century, sand has protected the railroad, yet OCTA continues to use riprap despite sand being the lower cost, more effective, and environmentally friendly alternative. Furthermore, the projected cost of this riprap-intensive plan is $200 million. For those dollars, 5 to 10 million cubic yards of sand could be delivered to create a wide sandy beach for San Clemente's entire coastline. Now, I don't know if their unwillingness to embrace sand replenishment is born of malintent, ignorance, or bureaucratic sclerosis, but the depths of their ills were on full display when their program manager stated on Monday, quote, riprap exacerbating erosion is one school of thought and not necessarily the opinion of OCTA's team. He continued, we are reserving judgment. I think what we want to do is have enough information before we can make a judgment on whether riprap causes beach erosion. We want to take a deeper dive into that. This preposterous statement denies decades of established science and is counter to what I believe is the firm position of this commission. From the Griggs study in 1991 to UCI's Dr. Brett Sanders, who spoke at OCTA's board meeting last Monday, scientists have concluded that revetments exacerbate erosion through scouring and coastal flow interruption. OCTA's actions have created a beach-destroying doom loop where their boulders create more beach erosion, which necessitates more boulders. 30% of San Clemente's sandy coastline is now covered with boulders, and with the implementation of this plan, 70% of San Clemente's coast, including our state beach, could soon be covered with riprap. Commissioners, today I make this plea. Deny OCTA any permit involving the placement of additional riprap on San Clemente's beaches. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Gary Walsh.
Well, as you've heard from my colleague, John Dow, who just previously spoke, OCTA is proposing to dump almost $200 million worth of riprap along the San Clemente beaches. That's an inconceivable amount of riprap. I will remind you that multiple studies have concluded that riprap exacerbates sand erosion. Allowed to carry out their proposal, OCTA will effectively destroy these beaches. OCTA's published position is that they don't believe it's true. That's like tobacco company claiming they don't believe cigarettes cause health issues. It is blatantly false. The science has been proven. My organization, Save Our Beaches SC, has presented a number of cases to the Coastal Commission of OCTA violating emergency permits given to them to dump riprap over the past 2 years. Up to now, you have done nothing about these violations. This has emboldened OCTA. This is why they feel confident to propose such an audacious plan. I'm sorry, but they see you as a toothless tiger, a bothersome fly they will ignore. OCTA claims riprap is needed to stabilize their tracks. You're all well-educated folks. What weighs more, a ton of rock or a ton of sand? In case anyone out there listening is struggling with the math on this, they both weigh a ton. So why not put sand down instead? I'm sure OCTA's public relations machine will counter with arguments against such a suggestion, but these are the same science deniers that claim riprap doesn't exacerbate sand erosion. There are existing examples around the world of beaches being restored and infrastructure being protected. Be the enforcer. Use the powers vested in you. Don't let these tobacco company lookalikes destroy our beaches. Thank you.
Thank you. Raymond Heimstra.
Turn to the commission and ask if there are any questions or comments in reaction to public comment. Commissioner Noda.
Just, the questioning on enforcement at San Clemente. What's going on there? Update.
Carl, can you give an update on where we are with OCTA and San Clemente?
Sure. So there are quite a number of things going on. At the moment, I've mentioned before that we have the application pending. That's the follow-up to the emergency permits for the stabilizations down at in the vicinity of the Cypress Shores community. That application is still pending. We're working our way through that. And that application does include some of the after the fact boulder placements that have occurred. So it's both a follow up to the emergency permit as well as some rock placements that occurred after those actions. And we're still working with OCTA and internally on our public access impact approach there. So that is taking a bit of time, but I think we're trying to target a hearing for that application later this year. Meanwhile, there are other emergency requests that have been submitted by OCTA that are further north, and some of those are under review. I'm reporting on one in the DDR today for Orange County, but again, some of those are under review. If there are specific questions, though, please let me know.
Commissioner Nuttall, anything further on that?
Well, just, it sounds like from the public comment that, they're continuing to add insult to injury. And so if we could act expeditiously to at least stop it getting worse, that would be good.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wilson.
Yes, through the chair. There's a question for Dr. Huckleberry. I was just, we had some comments about San Francisco.
Seeing none, I just want to join with my fellow commissioners on the comments that they've made and express the same concerns. With regard to San Clemente, I noticed that at the earlier hearing, and we received a couple public comments on this, the earlier hearing that they had locally when OCTA presented their plan for, I guess it's a $200 million revetment boulder type approach. And I think all of us, and I could speak for myself, remain extremely concerned about the disappearing Orange County beaches. If this continues, everything that Orange County represents and everything that people value and have moved there and visit there will be disappearing. So I'm just continuing to hope that staff work closely with them as this moves forward. Director Hucklebridge, did you?
I did just want to, I got a note from our Chief of Enforcement, Lisa Hagee, that we did recently just send another violation letter and are pushing them to resolve. I just didn't have that in my head, so just wanted to mention that. And just to say that I think we fully agree. We've been sort of dealing with this emergency, by project by project. And what we are really seeking to do is, while we're still dealing with all those things, as we should, have a broader conversation about the whole corridor and sort of what's the plan here. We can't, we will lose the beaches in front of this track if we just keep putting the boulders up. So we're trying to kind of attack it at multiple fronts, and it remains to be seen how that ends up in front of you all. And but we'll keep you updated. We're still trying to get, I think we have a meeting set up with them in the next month, I think.
That's right.
So, although I'm not totally sure about that, I can't remember the timing, but to start, to basically really have that more broad discussion and not just about project by project, but how are we working together? Because there's also, there's just a whole host of issues. So.
Yeah, and I saw, thank you, Director Hucklebridge. Yeah, I saw one, that there were several experts at the Orange County meeting talking about sand replenishment and the failure to consider that as an option, or it could be not a failure, but that in terms of permitting and in terms of time, it's easier to approach it by, the armoring approach. And I'm just hoping that as this moves forward, that the locals working with the commission and others look at all options to try to preserve that beach as they're addressing, which is obviously a very critical problem along the rail line. Mr. Schwing, were you trying to say something, or are you going to make DDR?
Apologies. So yeah, I was just saying that the meeting, we do have a meeting scheduled with OCTA coming up in it's early April.
Okay.
And if I may, I did want to point out one thing through the chair, that it's that one of the sand replenishment is certainly on the table, and we've been discussing it with OCTA directly, but there are some challenges with governance and how that happens. We don't have a sand egg entity, for example, in Orange County where we've done that, and we've worked out some of those projects. So there are some kind of unique issues here that we're going to have to work through. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. It is definitely something we're really concerned about and working with OCTA, and maybe this is an opportunity to figure out how to solve some of those problems. Create an entity of some sort that would be able to look at sand, kind of the general shoreline management issues across the board. Anyway, it's not, we're far away from, I think, from that yet, but that's part of the discussion.
Right, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Director Huckelbridge. And I know that the commission will look forward to hearing more. Really, it's one of those each meeting topics. So very grateful for that. Also wanted to thank Lucas and Parker for coming up here. And I know both of you do not travel by car